Hey y'all, it's Annilee. In this tutorial, I want to show you how to set up and render an outdoor space for your projects. So I've put together this little space here. It's just a basic room. We're not going to focus on the interior, so it's just very simple. I built this entirely in the platform, including the roof and this gable area. This is an object that I built in the construction mode. There's another tutorial on that, so I'm not going to go into that right now, but I did do that in construction mode, and then I added my materials here in wall editor so that I had this the stone and the siding there, but this is built completely in the platform. What I did was I built this place first, and so to get an outdoor area, what we're going to do is we're going to use the wall tool, and we're going to build it like a room. And I will show you how that works here in just a second. So I'm going to build like a kind of a deck porch type area. And so you start out building it with walls, just like you would an interior space. And you can see here in my 3D window that it builds the floor and the ceiling just like it does for your regular room. I mean, it's a regular room, but we don't want that. We don't want the ceiling. We want the floor, but we don't want the ceiling. So what we need to do is change this untitled room into a terrace. Over here in the room names, you just scroll down and you call that a terrace, and you can see here that removes the ceiling. So now that's an open air space, and it changed the floor automatically to this kind of decking material. So for this project, I want this to be this material here, so I'm just gonna let's see, I'm going to duplicate that flooring to over here. In 3D mode, you can use the material brush, and in 2D mode, you can just duplicate that over. So now I've got, but I've got the space now, but I've still got my walls. So I don't want those walls on there. So what I do is I can select that wall, make it a dwarf wall, drop its height to 0, and drop its thickness to 0. And that goes away. So I'm going to do that for all 3 of these walls. So you may want a little garden wall in there, and so you could add a brick texture or something to that if you wanted that. But I'm just going to drop all of these down so that it's just like a patio area. Make it a dwarf, height to 0, thickness to 0, and those walls go away, and now I have a patio space. So I've got that, and now I want to do some landscaping around here. So there's a couple of ways I can do that. I can draw a room around that. Again, if you have a specific site that you're trying to show with exact dimensions, then this is the way that I would do this. You draw just another room. You go through the exact same process that we did for our little deck area. And you call it a terrace, and that takes the roof off of it. And then you can find a grass material in the finishes over here. You can search for the grass material and make that grass or whatever it's going to be, gravel, whatever that is. So that can create that area. For this, I'm going to show you the other way to do that. So this is if you need a very specific defined area outside, you can do it like that. But I'm just going to get rid of that for now, and I'm going to show you one other thing that you can do to create some elements for the outdoors that is not involve using walls. If you wanted some other type of pavings or groundworks or things outside, so you can go over here to your advanced tool into the construction mode, and in here, we can use these shape tools to draw some of these items. So anytime you use these tools, they need to connect to something that you've got here. You can't just draw stuff out here in space. They have to connect. So if you were gonna draw a patio or something coming off of this, you would need to start it attached to the wall, and then you can always resize that. So maybe I want to maybe I wanted to make a well, if I can get it to grab. Well, it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to grab. There it goes. Maybe I want to make a sidewalk or a driveway, or some other element that I just want to add onto there. I can do that using that rectangle tool. Maybe I want stepping stones or something like that. Again, it has to connect, so you can't just draw something out in the middle of space. So if I wanted to do something like that, I would need to draw it here on the face of the floor, and then move that if I wanted to do that. Move that out. Well, there we go. And then I could make other shapes like that. So you can do this. The reason I'm not suggesting this for this kind of room is because you may want this to be a named room, first of all, and also when you do this, the platform does not recognize this as a floor or as a room. Whereas when you build it with the walls, you can name the space and count its square footage, whatever you need to do, and your furnishings and things will grab to it like because it recognizes it as a floor. These items, it won't. These will be objects, just like other things. So that's the difference between building it as a room and building it as a shape out here. So because I want this to be a patio, I built it with the wall tool instead. So I'm just going to get rid of these. I'm not going to use these in this example, but that's other ways you can draw things in here on your ground as an alternative method for that. So I'm just going to go back to my DIY and show you how to do some other outdoor stuff. So for this method, I'm going to just use landscaping material out here. So if you go back over here to the model library, you can search for grass. And they're going to give you some things that you won't be interested in for the outside, and then some things that you will. Some landscaping items. There's some little like tufty pieces of grass, some more landscaping elements. These are strips of grass. You can see. There's all sorts of different ones. There's some flowers and hedges. There's all sorts of little things in here. Here's a grass material if you wanted to paint the entire, like if we wanted to make that terrace grass. Now that's going to be a 2D texture, so it's not going to give you a three-dimensional effect, but if you needed to fill that in on the larger space, you can do so. I'm just going to undo that so that goes back. There's these large grass squares here that you can use. So I have actually got a lot of that saved into my favorites already. So I'm going to go over there to my favorites so I can pull from those. I put together some sort of some combinations to use here. And you can see also if you search trees, you can find all sorts of stuff in there. So these are some of those grass squares, and I just put a bunch of them together so that I could place a large area quickly. So I'm just going to place those around, and you can see in my 3D window how that's going to start to come together. And I'm going to just do a camera angle from this side to look here at this patio area. So I'm not going to worry too much about what's going on in the very back. But depending on your camera angle is what you want to dress out. So just, bear in mind how you want that to work. So I'm going to set that up there. And so I've just got, quickly laid some grass all around. And again, I found that just by searching grass. And then I laid a bunch together and then grouped them into a group and saved it to my favorites so that I would have it all the time. So also you can search trees. And so I've found lots of, there's tree groupings and individual trees. So I found some of those and moved them around. You can ungroup them. Most of the tree groups you're going to find you can ungroup and put together, regroup how you want. And so that's what I did here. And let's see, I've got several different ones that I like. So here's some grasses that I found that I'm going to use to line the edge of my patio here on this side. Like that. Some more flowers and landscaping items that I found. These are all things that I found in the library and then grouped together. And I'm just quickly putting this in here to show you guys today. So there's the individual trees that I ungrouped. And other grasses, more. Here's a bigger tree I could use. So let's take a look in the 3D window and, kind of see how that's coming together. So I might want that a little bit closer to my house. So just, set that up however you want your environment, whatever you're going for on the outside. I'm kind of showing you landscaping today. In an outdoor area, you may be doing something more urban, just, whatever your project is. You can search the library and see what they've got to offer, and also use your own uploads. So I've got several things that I've uploaded here. I've got this pergola that I've brought in from SketchUp that I'm going to place about there. And this is a group also that I put together with this wisteria vines on top, and there's a little string of lights. So I definitely would go into the material editor and take care of those. I entered into the group, but I want to do that. Yeah, I do. I want to do that one if I can grab it. Yeah, there we go. And so I've entered the group and gone into the material editor for my lights. I'm just going to make those into a luminous material. I'm not going to go through all the materials in this tutorial because that's not really what we're focusing on, just to kind of show you in general how to do all this. So like I said, I've brought that in, and what else have I done? We can put some potted plants. I found these in the public library. Those are just in the regular library for everyone to use. Let's see. So in my uploads, I've got this outdoor kitchen from another project that I'm going to drop in over here. So some things I've built inside the platform, some things are library items, and some things are my own imports. So obviously that's all going to be project dependent on what you are working on. So with all of that, what I want to point out is the edges here of your environment that you're creating. When you go into the rendering window, you will have the photograph backdrop that it gives you. And so what you want to think about is where the edge of what you're building out here meets up with that photograph. When we're doing interiors, we don't have to worry about that because we're inside walls. So you don't see where those things connect. But outside, it's an issue. You need to think about that. So most of the time what I do is I obscure those edges with some strategic landscaping. So if my camera angle is going to be about here, I can see I've got this landscaping here that's going to kind of obscure where that sharp edge is back there. And then on this side, all of this shrubbery and this stuff obscures it on this side. You don't want to see where the edge of your environment meets the photograph backdrop. That takes away from the realism, and you don't want that. And like I said, there's several ways to do it. You can add some more of this like fluffier grass back there. You could also, let's see, I think I've got, I found some fencing. If you look under railings, there's some fencing that you could use. So that's another way to obscure your edges. Well, I don't know where that one went. Let's just add another one. So you could line some fencing up there, and then it would make it look like that edge is on purpose. So this is where some of your test renderings are going to come in being important. You're going to want to see how that is looking. So let's go over into the render window and take a look at the next step. So over here in the render window, you can see that, it's pulling up this photograph, and you can see where the edge of my grass that I've put together meets the edge of that photograph. So that's not the greatest look. So you definitely want to take a look over here while you're building and see where your camera angle is going to be, and bear all that in mind when you're placing your items. So I've got a camera angle set up here that I want to use, that I like. And so you can see here with this camera angle, so my shrubbery and my trees and everything on this side are completely blending away that edge. You can't see where the edge of this grass meets the grass in the photograph. So that's what we want. And then over here, I've got lots of landscaping, and then I've got that fence along that edge, so it makes it look like it's on purpose. So I've got my camera angle set up how I want it to be. And so when we are rendering the exterior, along with your physical setup, the most important thing, again, is your lighting setup. And with your exterior, you do not want to use any of these interior light schemes that they've got for you. You want to go over here to More, and you want to choose this outdoor light setting. This one is going to set the lights and the sun up for you in an outdoor setup. These will not work on the outside. They will rig the interior, and the outside will look terrible. So always choose this outdoor light setup for yourself. And we'll confirm that. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like when you look at that outdoor light setup. So I'm going to go to Customize and customize that outdoor, because you're probably going to want to experiment with this and see how exactly you want this light, because it's not quite as straightforward as the interior lights where it's coming from lamps, and we're kind of rigging it to make the interior a certain way. The exterior does it differently. So you're going to want to look at your sun position. This is the angle of the sun around the house. And if you're trying to do a realistic place, and looking at the map where the sun would be north, south, east, or west, in relation to your building, then you can set that exactly. It doesn't let you set the exact time of day, but this corresponds to a rough time of day. So this would be first thing in the morning or evening or nighttime, and then this would be noon. So this is how you would change the height. You can see the little sun there. So that changes the height of the sun. So that changes your shadows. Obviously, when it's lower, you get those long shadows that you get early in the morning and in the evening. And then this is noontime, where the sun is straight up and in the air, and everything is bright and blazing. And then this one changes if where you're coming from, so where the sun is coming from. So if you want the sun to be shining straight on here, you'd move it to where it's in front. And if you want, you can also see that kind of better in 2D. You can see that sun angle coming in where you want it. So if you want your shadows to cast this way or this way, this is how you set that up. And then you can set the brightness of the sun and the color temperature as well. So if you want it like a nice warmy glow, you'd want to turn that down to like 2500. If you want it more like brighter, you'd want to turn that to cooler. So the setting up the sun in your outdoor is really important for the mood and the shadows that you want to create, because you're not going to have as many of the interior lamps and things. So definitely do lots of test rendering with this to figure out how you want that lighting scheme for yourself and what kind of mood you want to create. So I've already got one set up that I did for this one. I spent that time already doing that, so we won't do that here with all the test renders, but I do already have one set up. So I'm going to choose that one, and it changed the background for me when I did that before. So I want this one to be, I think it was the woods is the one that I liked. And I might rotate that a little bit. There, that's a little bit, let's see, that's a little bit better. So, all right, so you want to definitely set your camera angle. Always make sure of these camera settings, like we've talked about before, and you're at a 0. Your level is at 0 and it's at the height you want it to be. So like I said, I've already got this one set up to where I like it for this setup, and I've got my lighting and my background set up. So I'm going to do a test render, and let's see how this is looking. All right. Okay, let's see. All right, that one is ready. Let's take a look. All right, so that's not too bad. I put this together very quickly, so you can see that I probably need to go back and make some tweaks. I did not adjust a lot of the materials here. But the important thing is that you can see how I obscured that edges where it meets the photograph in the background. So you can see over here these shrubberies and this model here blocks that edge perfectly. You can't see it at all. And back here you can see where the fence meets that edge, so it looks like it's absolutely on purpose, like I meant for that to be an edge. You can see here, you can see the edge, so and it meets like up with a tree right there. So that's not good. I would need to go back in and add something. Maybe I would put some grass right here in kind of the forefront of the image to obscure that a little bit. So let me show you. This is a rendering I did before when I was working out this project. So you can see where I went in and updated the materials on these items, and made sure of all of my landscaping and made sure everything was obscured, and you can't see the edges at all. Like back here where the edge of my grass, it blends seamlessly into that photograph because I made sure of what was back there. And this is the lighting that I set up. This took some time and definitely some trial and error to get through. You can see I did lots of test renders. There's one from using an interior lighting scheme. I wanted to show you what happens when you do that. It's not good. You could probably get in there and fix it, but you would really be fighting with it. So definitely use that outdoor lighting. So this is after I used that outdoor lighting and experimented and took some time and played around with that. And then I've got another camera angle that I did here to go this direction. So I wanted to show you, I did not put anything on this side to help with that transitional area. And so you can see how that looks. It's not good. That takes away from all of your realism. Over here where you can't see that edge, it looks perfectly natural, like you couldn't tell that that's a photograph back there. But here, that ruins your whole vibe. So whatever your camera angles are, you want to think about those while you're building your model, and do whatever you need to do to obscure those edges. It could be things in the foreground of the image. It could be things in the middle. It could be things around the edge. So you could just add some of this landscaping grass type there to make it look like it's on purpose. And of course, that's going to be completely dependent on your project and your background and your camera angle. That's just definitely what you want to think about when you're putting this together. I hope this was helpful, and y'all have a great day.